I'm Larry Chiang and welcome to my shower. Set aside the fact that you're horrified that I'm doing a video in my shower. Paul Graham talked about one of the first things you think about when you wake up, and that's basically when you're in a shower. But these videos are specifically going to be geared towards the bell curve of entrepreneurship. There is a bell curve, and my goal with this initial video to introduce you guys is to shift you from the left side of the bell curve to the right side of the bell curve. The left side is where you're not doing great. If you're college using grades on a bell curve, the right side is awesome. Pillar concept of this bell curve and switching from the left side to the right side is actually launching and executing a lemonade stand business. We're talking about something that I've actually written a lot about, which is called a mini company concept. In fact, if you want to Google and read 30 to 35 steps, it's actually the lemonade stand concept I've broken down into 35 little bite-sized chunks, okay? Which moves you from the left to the right side, which is called a Larry Chiang, I'm sorry I'm naming this, but it is what it is. Larry Chiang mini company concept. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get away from the theory of Engineering 145 into the practice and the execution of it. Think of Engineering 145 when you're setting the bell curve. You want to set the bell curve by studying before you actually get to class. The old way that you would go to class at whatever college that you're visiting from is you show up, you find out while the speaker's speaking about what it is that he's talking about. This is not how E145 is going to go. You're actually going to, I recommend, pre-study all the content. In fact, you can pre-study all the content before because there's videos of every session online. Pre-studying is what entrepreneurs do, and don't treat the class like a class. Treat it like a cocktail party. You don't have to necessarily raise your hand, although it's polite. You definitely want to interact a lot and study what they teach before they teach it. You're going to be meeting a ton of great speakers, and they're going to give the most polite or get given some of the most polite introductions, okay? And they're gonna guffaw and be humble. These are the alphas of Silicon Valley. The best of the best of the best get to speak in your class. Don't believe their humility. Okay, that's what got them where they are. But don't believe when they're like, oh, I'm just really nobody and you guys are the awesome ones. You want to treat these people like alphas. And by alpha, I mean top of the food chain. You want to Google who they are, and you definitely want to follow up. Everybody should be following up, and ask for their email and follow up 2-3 times if you want to CC me. I know it really seems easy to follow up, and a lot of these things that you're going to be reading and discovering in this little rabbit hole of entrepreneurship here in my shower is the fact that these things are all really easy to do. It's also easier not to do. When a speaker comes to speak, okay, it's way easier not to email them. And I'm talking about a simple 2 or 3 line email. Now, if somebody's helped you or gets you access to a conference like MobileBeat, or gets you access to a conference like TechCrunch for you to demo your product, or gets you access to a conference like Demo, you should probably write them a paper thank you card. They're available at the Stanford bookstore. It's very much a thank you driven thing, and that's what people thrive on. When people want to do perfect work, the work never gets published. You're going to be hard on yourselves, and that's actually not okay. You're going to want to execute little things. Look at websites of established Fortune 50 companies, eBay, Google. I mean, it looks like Romper Room preschool. I mean, aliens are going to land on our planet and wonder if we house preschool kids at the Google logo complex. I mean, they feed you, right? Execute a website. Do something to launch. DJ up an API. I actually post an in-depth video on this called How to Move on the Entrepreneur Bell Curve and absolutely DJ up APIs. You want to do hamster wheel the back end. Chapter 1 of my book is the thesis chapter, which is you're damned if you do go to business school and you're damned if you don't go to business school. There's very much a catch-22, where if you don't go to business school, you don't get the network and the knowledge, where if you do go to business school, then you're saddled with the debt. So I beat the catch-22 with my book with that $27 investment, right? Chapter 2 is a super gritty chapter on treasure management. And treasure management is critical because we don't want to have money be a horrible, horrible master. Remember, it's a wonderful servant, and if you've got debt or are under the fiend of needing short-term money, you're going to make horrible decisions, whether or not you go to business school. So chapter 2 is my chapter on treasure management. It's the largest, grittiest, most granular chapter in my book, chapter 2. Chapter 3 is copy-paste your way to success. Notice a chapter of the book, people get it confused. In fact, they get it confused with my mentor's book, which is what they will never teach you at Harvard Business School. See, I get the two mixed up and they're interchangeable. Many great things have been copy-pasted. The Constitution, Thomas Jefferson copy-pasted John Locke. Wicked is a copy-paste of an old property. Copy-paste your way forward, chapter 3. Chapter 4 is on networking. I steal from the best speakers, Mark McCormack, obviously, but also Susan Rowan and how to work a room. Networking is one of the best things that you can do before you go to business school, or even if you are currently in business school, where I got to speak at that one that was in the Palo Alto area. Networking gets you a great Rolodex, and then my subsequent chapter, chapter 5, then talks about how do you get mentors from those awesome networking functions and accelerated networking. Chapter 5 of my book gets you your entire ROI for the $150 that you spend for, it's $170? You just raised the price. You know what? I'll charge you $150 if you buy it for $170, and then email me. My phone number 650-283-8008. Chapter 5 is my chapter on mentorship. I talk about superstar mentors, cohort mentors, junior mentors, and also default mentors. Chapter 6 is on sales, and what I do is I take 20 years of sales experience and I boil it down into 20 pages. And I also mention a handful of movies that are all about sales, because why not make one of the most impossible things for most people to do fun? Referring to movies. Also, do you know that 80% of CEOs have some type of sales experience? I talk about sales in a fun way, and it's in chapter 6. Chapter 7 of my book is the most scandalous and fun chapter. It's chapter 7, my chapter on sex. And basically, I solved literally 3,000 years of sexual sex problems in the workplace, okay, in just 20 pages. So if you want to be entertained and soft porn isn't available, read my chapter 7. It's the chapter that Tiger Woods didn't read when I think he was, I think he went to Stanford, did he not? I think he did. Chapter 8 is my chapter on getting lucky and the karma of getting lucky, because I believe that karma can be tracked, measured, and channeled. And what I mean by that is there's an algorithm, I think, to hacking karma, to how to get lucky. So those are some of the things I explore in my chapter 8 of what they will never teach you at Stanford Business School. Chapter 9 is my personal favorite chapter. It completely pays homage to my mentor, Mark McCormack. Chapter 9 is about how everybody is a little bit entrepreneurial. And I also call it my chapter 9 because it's asinine, where if you don't own 100% of you incorporated, you're kind of dumb. And Asinine's about 9 types of entrepreneurs where everybody's a little bit entrepreneurial. So that's my chapter 9 on entrepreneurship. Chapter 10 is about the lies of business and how to interrogate to get to the truths of it. Not only does it refer to Mark McCormack, my mentor, but also John Reed, who's the father of modern interrogation. And the lies of business are explored. It's a chapter all centered around how people misrepresent the truth and how to get to the core of what a person means, what they're trying to communicate, what they're hiding, and all the intricacies of lying in business. If you read one chapter in my book, read the failure chapter, how to fail forward. That's my chapter 11. And what I mean by failing forward is people who are successful, they're never successful because of some talent or ability. It's always how they weather a storm. It's always how they move forward from just a horrible circumstance and how they actually leverage it and use it as a springboard. That's my chapter 11. It goes over how my baseball coach talks about how he doesn't want to watch you pitch a good game. He wants to see how you bounce back from a crappy game. And believe you me, I had one or two of those. Chapter 11 is my chapter on failure. Chapter 12 is my chapter on that actually helped get me in to help teach a class at Stanford on technology entrepreneurship, and that is street smart. In fact, if you want to boil down Mark McCormack's books, what they don't teach you at Harvard Business School, what they still don't teach at Harvard Business School, what they'll never teach at Harvard Business School, it's all about being street smart and coupling street smart with academically smart. So that's the method that you want to go ahead and approach, combining both academic smarts and street smarts. Chapter 13 is actually a book within a book, and that's my chapter on Dumb It Down, Sandbagging for Success. And what I mean by sandbagging for success is you want to try to guffaw and sandbag and minimize who it is that you really are, so that way you don't potentially offend people, so that way you have the duality of being awesome yet being extremely approachable. So that's my chapter on Dumb It Down, Sandbagging for Success. Chapter 14 is my last chapter of what they will never teach you at Stanford Business School, and that is my chapter on basically coming to the conclusion that you actually do want to go to Stanford Business School. It's a scandalous book title, and you need that, but Stanford's a great institution, and there's the tip. Once you do get in, if you get in, the first thing you want to do is you want to redact. When you go to community college, they call it quitting. When you go to the school that I went to and you leave, they call it quitting. But when you go to a grade school, they call it redacting. What you want to do is you want to redact for an awesome opportunity and never really finish Stanford Business School.